For privacy reasons, names and places have been changed. This story is inspired by true events.
On a chaotic morning in 1945, 22-year-old Private Evan Marlowe, a tank gunner, found himself trapped as his Sherman plunged into a swollen river bend in Lower Silesia. He never resurfaced, despite the immediate and desperate attempts to locate him amidst the chaotic retreat. Private Marlowe vanished without a trace, his fate unknown, swallowed by the unforgiving currents. For 70 long years, his family and unit lived with agonizing uncertainty, a name lost to the annals of war. Then, in 2015, a chance discovery was made. A rusted track shoe, snagged in a local fisherman's net, pulled from the murky depths. This improbable find led to the uncovering of the submerged Sherman, its turret mysteriously sealed from within. Etched into the breech shield, a disturbing message hinted at a truth far darker than anyone imagined. This is the complete investigation into what happened to Private Evan Marlowe, a secret buried for decades beneath the river's silent vigil. Before we continue, let us know where you're watching from, and if you enjoy this content, consider liking and subscribing to our channel. Now let's continue. The year 1945 brought with it the brutal twilight of the Second World War, a period marked by desperate fighting and the unraveling of front lines across Europe. As Allied forces pushed relentlessly eastward and Soviet armies advanced from the west, the once clear battlefields dissolved into a chaotic mosaic of retreats, skirmishes, and mass displacement. It was a time when the very fabric of military order began to fray, and the distinction between victory and survival often blurred. Amidst this maelstrom, countless individual stories of courage, loss, and disappearance unfolded, many swallowed entirely by the immense scale of the conflict. One such story began with Private Evan Marlowe, a young man of 22 years, serving as a tank gunner in a Sherman crew. Like millions of others, Marlowe had been swept into the global conflagration, his youth traded for the grim realities of mechanized warfare. His presence on the front lines, a mere cog in the vast machinery of war, belied the profound personal impact of his eventual vanishing. The stage for this particular tragedy was set in Lower Silesia, a region then gripped by the final, ferocious throes of the war. Specifically, it was a treacherous river bend, close to a bridge that had been reduced to a mangled ruin, that would become the crucible of Marlowe's fate. The area was a volatile combat zone, a bottleneck for retreating forces, and a prime target for enemy artillery and air power. The river itself, swollen by recent rains and the spring thaw, surged with a dangerous current, a natural barrier made even more formidable by the relentless fighting. During one such frenzied military retreat, Marlowe's Sherman tank became a casualty of the escalating chaos. A direct hit, likely from an anti-tank weapon or heavy artillery, struck the vehicle with devastating force. The impact crippled the tank, sending it lurching off its trajectory. With its tracks damaged and control lost, the massive machine slid uncontrollably down the muddy bank and plunged into the churning waters of the swollen river. In the immediate aftermath, amidst the pandemonium of battle and the swift, unforgiving current, Private Evan Marlowe never resurfaced. He vanished without a trace, his fate unknown, swallowed by the river and the fog of war. This sudden and complete disappearance marked the genesis of a mystery that would endure for generations, a silent question echoing across 70 years. The immediate aftermath of the tank's disappearance into the raging river was one of profound chaos, typical of a frontline retreat. Surviving members of Marlowe's unit, or those nearby, would have been consumed by the urgency of their own survival, the need to regroup, and the relentless pressure of the advancing enemy. Any attempts to account for the crew of the submerged Sherman would have been frantic and fleeting, overshadowed by the overwhelming priority of maintaining defensive lines or continuing the retreat. The river, a churning torrent of muddy water, offered no immediate clues. Its powerful currents and obscure depths made any visual assessment impossible, and the relentless sound of battle would have drowned out any cries for help or signs of struggle. Conducting a thorough search or recovery operation in such an environment was an insurmountable task. Wartime resources were perpetually stretched thin, allocated to immediate combat needs rather than extensive recovery efforts for individual casualties. Specialized equipment, like diving gear or salvage cranes, was either non-existent on the front lines or vital for strategic objectives elsewhere. Furthermore, the constant threat of enemy fire, the instability of the riverbanks, and the sheer logistical nightmare of operating in a fluid combat zone rendered any prolonged search for Private Marlowe's body or the submerged tank utterly impractical. The primary objective for every soldier and unit was forward movement, survival, and the continuation of the fight. Without a body, without definitive proof of death, and with the tank irretrievably lost to the river's depths, Private Evan Marlowe was officially declared missing in action. This designation, common throughout the war, offered little solace or clarity to his family. It acknowledged his absence from the ranks, but provided no certainty regarding his ultimate fate. He might have drowned, been killed by the initial impact, or somehow escaped the tank only to be swept away by the current. The fog of war, thick with the dust of battle and the spray of the river, swallowed the details of his final moments. The lingering question of Marlowe's disappearance became yet another unresolved casualty of the conflict. His file remained open, a stark reminder of an unknown ending. The River Bend, once a scene of violent combat, eventually fell silent, its waters concealing a secret that would remain undisturbed for generations, a testament to the war's enduring mysteries. The war that had swallowed Private Evan Marlowe eventually drew to a close. The guns fell silent across Europe, and the world began the arduous process of rebuilding, both physically and psychologically. For millions, the end of hostilities brought a profound sense of relief, a return to normalcy, or at least the hope of it. But for the family of Evan Marlowe, and for the official records, his case remained an open wound. The designation missing in action persisted, a bureaucratic placeholder for an unresolved tragedy. Days bled into weeks, then months, and finally years, as the immediate urgency of the battlefield gave way to the quiet, gnawing uncertainty of an unexplained absence. The memory of the chaotic retreat, the hit Sherman, and the unforgiving river slowly receded from the collective consciousness of a world eager to forget the horrors of conflict. Decades passed, each one adding another layer of dust to Marlowe's file. The post-war generation grew up, and those who remembered the tank gunner's disappearance aged, their own memories of the war fading into the distant past. The specific incident near the collapsed bridge in Lower Silesia became a forgotten detail in the vast tapestry of World War II's end. Historians chronicled major battles and strategic victories, but the fate of individual soldiers swallowed by the chaos often remained unexamined. For 70 years, Evan Marlowe's disappearance persisted as an enduring, unanswered question, a ghost in the annals of a forgotten skirmish. The River Bend, now a peaceful landscape, offered no new clues to investigators, no whisper of the secrets it held beneath its surface. Beneath the deceptively calm waters, the Sherman tank lay undisturbed, a silent monument to a moment of violent chaos. Mud and sediment had slowly enveloped its rusted hull, turning the once mighty war machine into an almost indistinguishable part of the riverbed. Within its confines, if Marlowe had indeed been trapped, his remains would have become one with the wreckage, an underwater grave hidden from the world for generations. The river had become a tomb, guarding its secret with an impenetrable silence, ensuring that the mystery of Private Evan Marlowe endured, untouched by time or human inquiry, for nearly 3/4 of a century. 70 years had passed since the roar of battle echoed through Lower Silesia, and the Sherman tank plunged into the swollen river. 7 decades during which the world transformed, technology advanced, and the memory of Private Evan Marlow's disappearance faded into the annals of a forgotten war. The river continued its relentless flow, its surface betraying no hint of the secrets it had guarded for so long. The landscape, once scarred by conflict, had healed, returning to a pastoral serenity that belied its violent past. Yet the river's depths retained their cold, unwavering hold on the past, a silent witness to a moment of desperate chaos. It was against this backdrop of long-held quiet that the first crack in the 70-year silence finally appeared. In the year 2015, a local fisherman named Peter K. pursued his daily routine on the very stretch of river that had claimed Marlow's tank. For years, Peter had plied these waters, casting his nets with a practiced hand, his life intertwined with the rhythms of the river. It was a mundane existence, far removed from the historical echoes that lay beneath. On one particular autumn afternoon, as the sun dipped low, casting long shadows across the water, Peter felt an unusual resistance as he began to haul in his net. It was heavier than usual, snagged on something immovable at the riverbed. With considerable effort, Peter slowly worked his net free, pulling it toward his small boat. As the tangled mesh broke the surface, a dark, encrusted object emerged, dripping with river water and thick with sediment. It was undeniably metallic, heavily corroded, and shaped with a distinct, deliberate design. As Peter cleared away some of the mud, the true nature of the object became clear: a single, rusted tank track shoe. Its robust, lugged design was unmistakable, a relic of heavy machinery built for war. This was no ordinary debris. It was a piece of military hardware, an artifact of immense weight and historical significance. The discovery was immediate and profound. A single, corroded artifact, pulled from the river's grip after 70 years, served as the undeniable first tangible evidence that a tank lay hidden beneath the murky surface. For decades, the notion of a submerged tank had been little more than a local legend, a whisper among the oldest residents, dismissed by many as mere folklore. Now, with the track shoe resting in Peter K.'s boat, the legend gained a terrifying, concrete reality. This small, rusted piece of steel was more than just debris. It was a key, reigniting the long-dormant case of Private Evan Marlow and offering the first real hope that the river might finally relinquish its secrets. The mystery, once a cold case, had unexpectedly been brought back to life. The single, rusted track shoe, pulled from the river's grip after 70 years, was more than a mere artifact. It was an undeniable call to action. Peter K., recognizing the profound historical significance of his discovery, promptly alerted local authorities. The initial skepticism surrounding a decades-old legend quickly dissipated as experts confirmed the shoe's vintage and military origin. This tangible evidence, after generations of silence, reignited official interest in the long-dormant case of Private Evan Marlow, prompting a new, focused investigation into the river's depths. The historical implications of the track shoe were undeniable, compelling military historical recovery units to dispatch a specialized team. Leading this intricate and hazardous operation was combat engineer diver SGT Red Callahan, a seasoned veteran of underwater recovery missions with a reputation for meticulousness and an unwavering resolve in challenging environments. His team, equipped with advanced sonar technology and specialized diving gear, was tasked with the daunting challenge of locating and assessing the submerged relic, a task that promised to be both physically demanding and emotionally charged. The river itself presented formidable obstacles to the investigation. The waters, still swollen and murky, offered near-zero visibility, transforming the underwater environment into a labyrinth of shifting sediment and unseen hazards. Strong currents, remnants of the very forces that had claimed the Sherman tank decades prior, complicated every movement. Divers faced not only the natural dangers of the river, but also the potential presence of unexploded ordnance or other debris from the chaotic retreat of 1945. The search was a painstaking process, beginning with systematic sonar scans to map the riverbed, followed by grid-by-grid sweeps by divers, feeling their way through the frigid darkness. After days of arduous, methodical effort, an anomaly finally appeared on the sonar screens, a large metallic mass partially buried in the riverbed, consistent with the dimensions of a Sherman tank. With the target identified, SGT, Callahan and his team descended into the dark, cold embrace of the river. The moment of contact was eerie. A hulking, silent form emerged from the gloom, its silhouette unmistakable. The divers had located the long-lost Sherman tank, a ghost from a forgotten war, confirming the decades-old rumors and providing the new investigation with a concrete, tangible focus. The submerged wreck, a silent testament to a violent past, was finally within reach. The discovery of the Sherman tank marked a pivotal moment, confirming the long-held suspicions that a piece of wartime history, and potentially its crew, lay entombed beneath the river. SGT, Callahan's team immediately commenced a meticulous exterior examination, documenting the tank's condition after 7 decades of submersion. The hull was heavily encrusted with sediment and marine growth, its once formidable armor now a mosaic of rust and decay. Despite the degradation, the general structural integrity remained, a testament to its robust wartime engineering. Divers carefully surveyed the damage from the initial hit, noting the distortion of the armor plating consistent with a powerful impact, likely from an anti-tank round or heavy artillery. They systematically checked each exterior point, searching for any sign that the crew had managed to escape before the tank plunged into the depths. However, a crucial observation quickly emerged, defying conventional expectations for a tank abandoned in combat. The main turret, typically a point of rapid egress or external damage in a sinking, was found to be sealed. Not merely jammed by the riverbed or damaged, but deliberately secured from within. The hatches were latched, and the escape mechanisms appeared engaged, suggesting that someone had consciously sealed the turret after the tank submerged, or at least after the initial impact. This immediately elevated the investigation from a recovery mission to something far more complex, implying that a crew member had been trapped inside, taking desperate final actions. Gaining access to the sealed turret proved to be a painstaking and hazardous endeavor. The interior of a submerged, 70-year-old tank posed numerous risks, including unstable debris, confined spaces, and the potential for unexploded ordnance. Working methodically, the divers utilized specialized tools to carefully pry open the main hatch, a process that took hours of meticulous effort in the murky, cold water. As the hatch finally yielded, a rush of trapped gases and sediment escaped, further obscuring visibility. Slowly, cautiously, SGT, Callahan and his team penetrated the dark, waterlogged interior, their powerful dive lights cutting through the gloom. Within the confines of the turret, amidst the remnants of equipment and the pervasive silence of the underwater tomb, the ultimate breakthrough was made. As a diver's light swept across the breech shield of the main gun, an irregularity caught the eye. Etched with desperate force into the cold, corroded metal, a series of crude yet unmistakable characters came into view. It was a message, hastily scratched into the steel, a final communication from the depths. The discovery was profoundly significant, providing the first direct testimony from the incident. The chilling revelation contained within those hastily scrawled lines spoke of an unimaginable truth, completely recontextualizing Private Evan Marlowe's disappearance. The message clearly indicated friendly fire, turning a presumed wartime accident into a far more disturbing and complex event. The hastily scratched message on the breech shield offered a chilling, unequivocal truth, shattering the long-held assumption of a simple combat loss. The crude characters, a final testament from the depths, clearly indicated friendly fire. This single detail provided the long-sought answer to Private Evan Marlowe's fate. He had not merely been a casualty of a chaotic retreat, swept away by the river's current. Instead, he was trapped within the confines of his own vehicle, likely killed by ordnance from his own side, a tragic outcome of the war's desperate final days. The sealed turret, once a baffling anomaly, now spoke volumes. A final, desperate act by a soldier facing an unimaginable end. Further analysis of the tank's markings and serial numbers, cross-referenced with meticulously preserved wartime records, definitively confirmed its assignment to Private Marlowe's unit. The subsequent recovery and forensic examination of human remains found within the turret provided the final, heartbreaking confirmation. After 70 years, Private Evan Marlowe was finally identified, his long journey home made possible by a fisherman's net and a diver's perseverance. This discovery forced a profound reevaluation of the historical record surrounding Marlowe's disappearance. What was once catalogued as a casualty of an enemy hit during a retreat was now understood as a far more complex and tragic event, a testament to the chaos and inherent dangers of war, even from one's own side. The official designation of missing in action could finally be changed, replacing ambiguity with a definitive, albeit painful, truth. The revelation of friendly fire, a particularly cruel twist of fate, reverberated far beyond the immediate investigation. As wartime chaplain Captain Lorna Ruiz often noted in her historical commentaries on such cases, the truth, no matter how painful, offered a profound and necessary form of closure. For families who had lived for decades with the ambiguity of missing in action, such a discovery, even after generations, could finally bring peace to an enduring grief, allowing for a proper remembrance. The story of Private Evan Marlowe, once a silent question mark in the annals of World War II, was finally completed. The documentary concludes by reflecting on the significance of finding the truth, no matter how difficult, and providing a measure of closure after 7 decades of uncertainty. His final message, etched into the steel of his tomb, ensured that his sacrifice would never again be merely a statistic, but a poignant reminder of the true cost of war.